And welcome back, everyone. We have another complete set presentation for you this afternoon. In honor of the NFL season kicking off later this week, I wanted to share with you one of my card sets from my childhood. In fact, it was maybe my favorite card set from my childhood when I was collecting cards right out of the convenience stores and grocery stores. This is going to be 1986 Topps football. And in 1986, I was just a little old squirt of 9 years old. And this was the first year I was buying cards. And this was still at a time where once baseball cards were off the shelf, you couldn't find them. And you had football cards there or whatever it may have been the next sport. For me, it was football. And 1986, nothing was bigger in Chicagoland than the 85 Chicago Bears. So let's take you down a little bit of memory lane here from me. Some of these are my cards from 1986. So some of these cards could look a little bit better. But I kind of like that because these are the ones I still have from my childhood. A lot of the cards, like my 86 Topps baseball cards, I don't have any of those from my childhood. That was all stuff I reacquired as an adult, and they weren't the original cards I had. So these are kind of special to me. All right, let's get started. I finished this set later as an adult. I was still missing quite a bit of the cards, and I started buying lots back in the early 2000s to finish off the set, but I did already have some of the key cards. So let's jump into it. So the 1986 Topps football set consisted of 396 cards, plus also an insert pack, an insert that was in each and every pack, and that was the 1,000-yard rushing and or receiving club. So let's kind of jump into this and kind of show you some of the cards that we got here going in. Starting out with the subset, which consisted of 26 cards. It has the rushing and receiving leaders from 1985 featured in here. Right at the top, we got good old Walter Payton. And these were one per pack, one per cello pack, and one per rack pack. So you had a ton of these cards. And these cards you can still find in great shape, readily available. It's an easy set to be able to complete. I think it's pretty cool. So it's got a lot of the stars from the game. You can see on the back it has each and every game that they played in that season, how many yards they acquired in that game, either through rushing or receiving. So it's pretty cool, I think, kind of looking at that, so you can kind of see all the games that, for example, the Bears played that season or the Raiders played that season. Marcus Allen was the leading rusher in 1985. We got Eric Dickerson here. I am not as familiar with all the NFL Hall of Famers, I'll admit, but there's some names that obviously transcend my fanhood in other sports, so I really know who these guys are. Chris Collinsworth obviously is much more popular because of his time spent covering the NFL on a broadcaster than any time as a player, although he was a good player too. All right, so once I finished this little subset, I jumped right into the set. So it started with record breaker cards, and you can see the basic design here. So we have like the little green at the bottom with this white stripes. That's supposed to look like an NFL field. So you're going to see that in each and every card. The record breakers have this yellow on the top as well, kind of indicating, like to kind of stand out from the regular set. And it leads off with the record breakers, and we have two Hall of Famers right there. We have Marcus Allen and Eric Dickerson. Over here we have Steve Largent, and we also have Walter Payton. And then it shows you who won the Super Bowl that previous season, which was the Chicago Bears, which sadly is the last time the Bears have won the Super Bowl. So, pretty cool experience from my childhood, but one that has not been replicated. In 1986, they won 14 games, but got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, or at least in their first playoff game. It wasn't the first playoff round, but it was the second round, and they lost to Washington. All right, so let's jump in here. So they would always say that, or always set it up, at least in the early sets in the 80s, going into the late 80s, they would have the team that finished first and won the Super Bowl featured first, followed by second place, third place, and so forth. So the Bears are going to be first, and they're going to have more cards than a lot of the other teams because they were featured as the Super Bowl champions. Around these parts, there's nothing more popular than an 85 Bear. They are more popular than really any other Chicago sports players outside of maybe Michael Jordan. They are rock stars, and they were when I was growing up. Still are to this day. Got Mongo, Hampton, Singletary, Leslie Frazier, Dave Duerson, Gary Fensick. The great names go on and on. And we have the Patriots. They got beat up pretty bad in that Super Bowl, but I think have who really turned the tide in the last 20 years, shall we say, of being a good Super Bowl team. The champions for 1986 were the New York Giants. They beat the Denver Broncos, which was John Elway's first Super Bowl appearance. Little Dan Marino down here in the corner. This was one I had to pick up to finish the set later in life. Got it at a card shop nearby that no longer exists. Friends and I were just chatting about this one earlier today via Messenger, because we kind of mentioned how cool this set was, and one of my friends still hasn't opened packs from this set, which is pretty cool. The backs of the cards, well, they're a little busy. They have little cartoons here of like fans in the stands that you can see, but they really do fill up the background. Some of them just have narrative in the box. Others have full stat line, depending typically on what position they played. A lot of the offensive linemen had more of just narrative in there because they didn't have a lot of stats to pull from. Whereas, obviously, the offensive players, running backs, wide receivers, kickers, quarterbacks, and things like that had a full stat line. Defensive players, it was kind of mixed, but I think they did put tackles and number of sacks, whether it was in a narrative or a stat line, I can't recall. We'll see as we kind of go through here. What I kind of liked about this is they didn't have like set all-star cards, but they did let you know who was an all-pro down here in the corner. It looks like they just had narrative for the defensive players. Look at the back of Howie Long. Dickerson again. Dickerson's rookie was a pretty big card when I was a kid. It still kind of is from the 80s. I just think these are beautiful cards with the green, personally. Some people don't like them. I love them. But it does allow for a lot of weird centering issues, depending on where this little image was placed within the green, because sometimes the cutting resulted in that being very off-center. So I think going into this season, I think sadly, my Bears are probably not going to be very good again. I'm just hoping for a little bit of progress and hoping that our young quarterback shows a lot of progress and they actually protect him pretty well, because I was really worried last season. Because poor Justin Fields did not get a lot of protection. They threw him pretty much to the wolves out there. Elway at the top here. And it's a third-year Elway card. Same thing with Marino. I always thought this was kind of a fun card when I was a kid. Just a close-up with the helmet. It was pretty intimidating, I thought, when I was a kid and I got that card and opened the pack. Like, ooh. Football is a different sport from baseball. 20-door set down here. Loved this name when I was a kid. Ed Too Tall Jones. Here's the Giants, the team that won the Super Bowl this season. Phil Simms, Joe Morris. But their big star was this guy, Lawrence Taylor. Now I got the 49ers, which has the big rookie card. There's a few rookie cards in the set. Some of it could be the first player's NFL card, but they were in the USFL, so they do have another card previous to this. Whereas others, it's going to be their authentic rookie card, and their Jerry Rice, this is his authentic rookie card. This is one from my childhood. It's maybe not the best condition if I ever got it graded, but I don't care. It's the one I got from my childhood. It's one I've had since I was a kid, and I think nothing really beats that for me. I got Montana up here, Roger Craig. A lot of the great Raiders names from the 80s are all featured in here. Ronnie Lott. We got Washington, the team that beat the Bears in 86. Joe Theismann was not the quarterback of that team. He got hurt pretty bad this season. This is the season where he had that nasty broken leg against the Giants. Got the Browns. That was kind of a big card when I was a kid. Ended up having a good career, but not quite the career he started off to have. Bob Golick, the brother of Mike Golick from Mike and Mike fame. Seattle, Steve Largent, up here in the corner. The Green Bay Packers. Boo. I'm just kidding. I have a lot of respect for the Packers, especially in the last 25 years. All right, so down at the bottom, you're going to have the league leader cards. So you're going to have the leader from each league featured on the same card. So like the passing leader is going to have Montana and Ken O'Brien, for example. Don't think there's too many that have two Hall of Famers on the same card. But again, I'm not as familiar with all the Hall of Famers for the NFL. Kevin Butler, butthead right there. And scoring leaders are kicking. And we got the Chargers. Dan Fouts. Charlie Joyner at the end of their careers. There's one other really big rookie coming up. It's going to be towards the end now. The Lions. See, they had very few cards when you got to the Lions. It's like a page and a half. The Bengals. Boomer's rookie. Boomer Esiason. There's Collinsworth again. Oh, got Anthony Munoz. Meant to point him out. Jaws. Ron Jaworski. There he is, right up in the corner. The next big rookie, Reggie White. Man, he could play. What a leader he was, too. And Herm Edwards. Pretty popular coach. Not a lot of success in the NFL, but man, he was a lot of fun to listen to. I enjoyed him listening on ESPN a lot, and he's now coaching college, which is probably a really good spot for him. He's probably great with those kids. Got a few of the great Steelers still hanging around here by this time in '86, including Mike Webster and Louis Lips. And John Stallworth. Now we got the Vikings. Look, it's Busta Rhymes. I don't think that's the same as the rap artist, but isn't that pretty cool? Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it is the same guy. That would be pretty cool. The Chiefs. The Colts. They were in Indianapolis by this time. The Cardinals, I think they were still in St. Louis at the time that this set was out. Formerly the Chicago Cardinals. We got the Saints. The Oilers with Warren Moon here. I think that's a second-year card for him. I think he was one of the guys that was also in the USFL. No, he played in the Canadian League for many years. Okay, so that's where he started. I knew that, now that I think about it. Got the Falcons coming up. And I think just beautiful cards. I think they just really capture the era, too, for me. Pretty big football fan at this time, too, in addition to baseball. I remember watching it with my dad as much as I could. Sometimes I was told I had to go to another room because my dad was so angry with the Bears that he used language I wasn't familiar with yet. But later became familiar with it, but I was asked to leave the room. All right, so we got Steve Young up in the corner here. That's considered his NFL rookie card, but his USFL card is considered his rookie card. But I think they're kind of used pretty interchangeably, so you could high grade this one. People covet it just as much as the USFL card. But he's with the Bucks. But they regret moving him on, although at that time, I don't know if he would have survived. The Bucs were not a good team, and their quarterbacks got knocked down a lot. I got another couple of big rookies down here for the Bills. Are a big part of their Super Bowl runs, even though they did not win, but big players nevertheless. Andre Reed and Bruce Smith. Quite the player there. All right, we're getting near the end. Here's the final page. Got the rest of the Bills, and then we got the 3 checklists that go with it. There's stuff behind here, yes, but that's going to be 1987. That's going to be for another future video. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope everybody has a wonderful first week to the NFL season. Hope your team has a great year, unless you're playing the Bears. In that case, I hope the Bears do okay, but I'm hoping that they just are good enough to make the playoffs this year. But we'll see. All right, have a great afternoon, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this.